Right, hello everyone. I'm here with famous guy from Magic, at least in Europe, Michael Bonde. What's up,
Hey,
Michael?
not much. What's up with you, Peter?
I'm doing great. I'm interviewing a bunch of people, so that's fun.
Yeah.
Michael, the thing that makes him most famous, in my opinion, is his like dance when he topated the Pro Tour. I mean, I can't really do that, but yeah, it became kind of a thing. Like anytime someone does really well, they always they always use that. Um,
Yeah, myself
and
included.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Besides that, he has won a GP alongside Christopher Larsen and Thomas and Hamilton, both from Denmark, if I'm not mistaken.
You are not mistaken.
And he's just like one of the more famous grinders. You just like playing tournaments every week, even on Magic Online. Doesn't really matter what a tournament is or what format it is. You just kind of seem to play it all. Um,
Yeah.
you just love Magic, man.
I actually just love Magic. Yeah. I never understand when people like complain because it's not part of my repertoire. I literally just love playing like almost every format.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like a lot of the time, you like see people annoyed that they have to like test for a tournament or that they have to go to a tournament. Like, why are you playing Magic if you don't like to play Magic? It just like doesn't make sense to me.
No, I get sometimes like the format's a stall, and if you
Yeah,
only play constructed and you play legacy and like it's always the same patterns, then eventually like yeah,
that's true.
it becomes like a bit stall. But then you can just play limited, or you can play vintage, or you can play cube or whatever. Like there's always a different approach, and yeah, I just enjoy playing the different formats.
So, as we said, you're kind of a grinder. Was that always the case for you? Like, you just kind of like love to play Magic, so you just grinded a lot, and then eventually you qualified for tournaments and stuff, or did you like always have ambitions to like do well?
I think like I played handball when I was younger, and like different sports, and I was like super competitive in board games.
Hmm.
But I never really had like an outlet. So I started playing like Warcraft 3, Frozen Throne, when I eventually got internet. Like I
Yeah,
am in the
I played it as
generation.
well. It was one of the first games I ever played.
Yeah, I didn't have like Wi-Fi or internet when I was younger, um, so you didn't really have like the competitive scene unless you played like LAN parties, like local area network parties.
Hmm.
So I wanted to, but I never got an outlet. And then I picked up like Magic in 2008, I think, and then I just instantly traveled to my first GP. Uh, so
What?
I didn't have a
How
testing
how
group.
many years back is that?
12.
Okay.
Yeah, roughly 12, 12 and a half, I think, something like that.
Hmm.
I had it in like primary school, like we collected the cards, so I knew what was up. But it was in 2008. I just started like, okay, let's go to this GP in Copenhagen, and then 1 month later, let's go to Brighton. I've literally never played like the game before, so
So what happened after that? You just like started traveling to all the GPs, and you started becoming friends with people, or how did it go?
yeah, I'm from like a smaller town. Like I think it's the 13th or 17th biggest in Denmark, which is like super small.
Hmm.
And no one really played. Like someone taught me how to play, and I was like the organizer for like children, but I weren't really good. So I just took my car and I drove to the bigger city where I live now,
Hmm.
where like Lasse Norgård, Martin Dang, and some other like yeah, tier two is not nice, but people who played like
I know what
the
you mean. Yeah.
yeah, people who like do well at GPs but never really like went for the big because they didn't want to invest like a lot of time.
Hmm.
They just did it for like casual and for fun. There were some good players though, and I went out there and just started playing with them every Friday, and then eventually, like we gathered in the weekends, and then those were my travel companions.
So you like started traveling to a lot of GPs, right? But like when did like the switch happened when you like I don't know you first qualified for the PT? Maybe you started thinking about like becoming a pro or whatever. Was it just like a slow process, or maybe you just like at some point you're like, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this game. Like maybe I should try harder. Like what happened there?
Yeah, I think like I'm really bad at like sitting down and reading stuff. Like I just want to play and just figure it out on my own, because I think that's that's the approach I love with the game. I don't like building decks, but I like understanding how decks work if someone built it prior to it. So I just I net decked a lot of decks, and then I just like took them to tournaments, and rawing them out of nowhere. So I went day 2 on my first GP, which was in Denmark, and then I missed day 2 on 7 GPs in a row.
Wow.
But those were my 8 first GPs. So it, of course,
yeah, it's really hard to day 2 GPs at the beginning. I remember the struggle myself.
Yeah. So, but then I started playing the side events, and I picked up Legacy. So I played all the Legacy side events, and you got a future side box if you went in top 16 of the Sunday Legacy side event. And I just grinded that, so I got I don't know, 6 boxes of future side, which I sold, and then I got money to play another GP. They weren't a million, but they were enough to pay for some of the expenses, and then the fire was just lit. Wow, I can do what I actually like, and then I get some return back, and I get better. And then some of the Danish people saw that I travel a lot, and they took me under their wings, like Martin Dang and Anders Tidemann and Lasse Norgård from Aarhus, and we just started grinding. And then in 2010, I think I went to my first abroad GP, and that was where I qualified for the Pro Tour in San Diego.
Were you able to chain invites after the first PT, or did you have to qualify again and just struggle to get back in?
I had to struggle.
That's what I thought, but I didn't want to be mean.
No. I played so much Innistrad sealed with Martin Dang. We stayed up for 2.5 days, straight, no sleep, and just played 3 seals at a time. I think we played 100 or 150 seals or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I went to the GP in San Diego, and I got 10th with 0 buys. Wow. So it was pretty good, yeah. And then I got a qualification for the PT, which I went to, and I played against Finkel in round 1, which was kind of nice. It's a good story in Hawaii. I got to Hawaii, and but I even grinded the Planeswalker points thing.
Oh, really? Did you actually get an invite from that?
No, I was number 102.
And you had to be 100?
Yeah, but then Alex Sargentini got DQ'd because he cheated. Oh. So it got down to 101, but I was 102, and I was missing 15 points. And I couldn't collect them because all the stores in Jutland were closed during December because of holiday. So I just couldn't get enough points to.
That sucks, man.
Yeah, but I had the qualification, so my parents chipped in and bought the ticket for me, which was kind of nice. Yeah, and then I got completely owned, and I played 20 GPs, no top 8 or anything, and there's no chance of me qualifying for the Pro Tour. But then it happened in Madrid, I think, at Core something. I can't even remember. No, it was just the one, the Origins. I think it's from. I think it was Origins.
So let's talk a little bit about your good finishes. I already mentioned that you won a GP alongside Chris and Thomas. Yes. And you also competed Pro Tour quite recently. I think it's maybe 2 years ago. One thing that I want to ask about, when you did the dance, did you knew beforehand that you're gonna do it, or just the emotions kind of overwhelmed you and you did it spontaneously?
Nah, I think people who know me know that I burst into emotions all of the time, and I'm super. I think it's called what's it called? I'm animated when I become happy. I just can't control much of that. I dance and I'm loud, and I'm just pretty jolly. I think that's the correct word. I think you even said once that at first we just thought that you were noisy and annoying, but then we realized you're actually kind of nice. So come sit with us.
Yeah, for me it goes like this, Sometimes I really like you, sometimes I don't. It fluctuates.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm just kidding.
But I don't know. I'm pretty animated. I'm pretty happy, and I just enjoy being around. And then like top 8 in the Pro Tour, I was even more ecstatic, and like that's what my goal was. Like I was aiming. I've been aiming for. Everyone is aiming for like top 8 at the PT. So Carlos Armao said like, Michael, you just top 8 at the PT. This is like the peak of your career. Maybe it's the peak of your life. Everyone who top 8s looks like people who are going to the funeral home. Like they come in and like, oh, handshake, and look so sad. You're the one, Michael. You're the chosen one. You have to do something. And I said like, I got you, Carlos. I got you.
Don't worry about that.
No, and then he asked me, what are you gonna do? I don't know. It will come to me when I'm there. And then, yeah, it was on the spot. Like I didn't practice anything. It was just, okay, I wanted to do something. I wanted to show my emotions, and that was what came out of me.
I don't actually remember which deck did you top 8 it with. Was that a Tron or something?
No, I played the Nexus deck, the Nexus of Fate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was testing by myself.
Not that many people actually played that deck in the tournament, right? Like obviously everyone knew that it existed, but not that many people chose to play it because maybe like it was kind of bad against Mono Blue, I guess.
Yeah, so it was bad against Mono Blue and Mono White actually.
So how did you arrive to that option?
I saw Matt Nass play it like a lot on the ladder, and I've played it like a lot myself, and I did well, and he did well, but I could hear like he had the same thoughts that I had, and I didn't really come to like a good conclusion. How can I beat like these specific matchups? But then the week before, some of the Japanese had like an insane sideboard with the O2 Druid. I can't even remember what it's called.
O2
the one
Druid?
Yeah, you can
make it bigger.
Yeah, and then it taps for 3 mana instead of...
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
Me neither.
and then the 1/4 archer that shoots a creature that has flying when it enters the battlefield, and also has to reach for 3 mana. Like it's a shitty uncommon from
Yeah, I know. So the Mono Blue matchup was actually fine with these additions, or it was still pretty bad?
Nah, like the matchup was like horrible before, but you could like catch them off guard and like board into like a complete different deck. So I actually won against that twice, I think, and against Mono White one time. So I beat them, but then I lost to Reed and Autumn. I also lost to Autumn. So I won twice and lost.
Everyone
twice.
lost to Autumn in that tournament, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly, and everyone loses to Reed Duke on average. So it's not the worst. But I liked it, and I had a ton of experience with the deck, and they did like a transformational sideboard into like green dudes and green creatures. So I picked it up, and yeah, and I won a lot, and I also did well in limited. But
nice, as always. You kind of if I'm not mistaken, you're more like a limited guy than a constructed guy. Like you obviously play everything, so you know it's hard to say that. But when I think of Michael Bonde, I kind of think of limited for the most part. Would you describe yourself that way as well? I also think that the team the team GP that you won was also limited, right?
Yeah. I think I would consider myself a limited player. I think that's where the most fun is, like to just draft and play sealed. Like I used to consider myself as a really good sealed player. Because I just enjoy that format.
Do you think there is a huge difference between like sealed and draft? Like, do you think that there can be people who are just only good at sealed and maybe not as good at draft, and the other way? Do you think that it's like very different?
Yeah, I think the fundamentals of the two like are completely different. Often when I used to like have a testing group in Aarhus, where I'm from, where we did like all the numbers and which turn did you die and when was the game lost and such things, and sealed is just way slower, so there's a lot of different options in sealed. There's a lot of different hands you can be on the draw, which is like a huge difference compared to all other formats. And I think they're just fundamentally different, and a lot of cards, like the evaluation changes sealed versus draft. But they're still limited, so like it's still medium games where you need to like.
Not that many people are actually that experienced at sealed, because you know I think that if someone wants to play limited, draft is usually considered to be more fun because you get to draft. That might not necessarily be the case for you, but not that many people actually do play sealed. from my understanding, even if there is like a limited GP, people usually just draft and then they like kind of build their seal deck. But you have a lot of experience. Can you maybe like talk about some things that might not be as obvious? Like obviously you already said that it's slower and stuff like that, but there are like a lot of things you need to be aware of, like maybe also sideboarding as well. So if you can give us some tips, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think people often know like the basics, like the seal format is slower than the draft format, like you can be more greedy and etc. etc. But I still think there's something with the mathematics, like you can only be greedy to a certain extent. So you need to like figure out what your pool is best at. And I think people sometimes just take all the good cards and chunk them together and say, yeah, it's sealed, like I got unlucky with the pool and so on. But you can actually like make synergistic decks with what you have, and you need to like build the different piles and just figure out what is like, is it curve, is it raw power, is it like 5-color greed, or what is it? And then you need to figure out when the game ends, because if you're closed out by turn 5 in most matchups, then red white like super aggressive is a way to go. Mm-hmm. But if the regular games like close out at like round 10 or round 10 or 11 or something like that.
I mean turn 10?
Yeah, turn 10, not round 10. Yeah, when they're playing something else.
Fine.
Yeah. Then you can be a little bit more greedy, like because then you're not gonna die early, so you can like skip the first 2 turns, and then aggressive decks are on average not as good as the other decks. So you need to figure out what the specific cards are good in aggro for it to actually be good. I think those are my 2. Like it's pretty hard like on the fly, but just splash 3-1 or a 5-2. Put your opponent on the play like more often than you would to do in any other format.
Yeah, I think what you said about aggro in sealed is very interesting. I would like to talk about it a little bit. Like normally when you draft, you usually just pick all the like cheap cards. You maybe play like 1/5 or whatever. It's kind of, you know, like it's just kind of simple, right? You take the 2-drop because that's the most important thing. You take the removal spells, and the drafts they kind of look in a certain way. Yeah. But in sealed, you usually don't have that many like cheat drops. But as you said, sometimes you're kind of forced to play aggro, and it's kind of hard to figure out like which 5-drop or which 6-drop is actually best for this strategy.
Yeah.
And if you're not playing as many sealed games, it might not be as obvious. Can you maybe like talk about that a little bit? Because I myself, I'm probably pretty bad at that.
You have a top 8 in sealed, don't you?
I actually won a GP. 2 GPs, 2 limited GPs.
Yes. So you did well on one day in sealed at least. I think when you get the seal pool, like most often or not, like I would say 1 in 20 seal pools are like unplayable, and then probably 8 out of the 20 are like in the region of bad, and then you have 12 seal pools that range from medium to really good. Mm-hmm. So you actually have a lot of tools. Like I've seen Martin Dang. Martin Dang is insane at playing sealed. Mm-hmm. And I've seen him like scrap to day 2 at 7-2 with 1 buy with like the worst bunch of cards I've ever seen in my entire life. And I played 21 lands myself in day 2 with 7-2.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
You just didn't have playables?
No, but I didn't have any. Like my cards were just super shit, so I needed to play like 4 colors, but I didn't have fixers. So you need to have like the correct mana base. So I had it was a pile. But you just need to you need to figure out if your pool actually has to go the aggressive route. If the format allows you to be aggressive, and if your pool allows you to be aggressive, you need to figure out which like composition of cards you need in the.
No, of course I understand that, but like when you already decide that you have to be aggro, you usually have like 19 cards that you would like to play in your aggro deck, and then you have to decide the last 4, and it can be kind of like you know, I don't really know myself. It doesn't really happen that often. Like, is it better to play like this shitty 5-drop creature, or like what do you do in those spots? Like, I just don't know what the last 4 cards should be. Like, should I play the shitty palm spell? I obviously know it depends, but
yeah, but I think this is some of the disagreements I always had with like the people I play a lot of limited with, or discuss it at least. I play like Magic in a way that I most often like postpone the game. So I want the game to go as long as possible. So I'm not going to take any risky routes. I'm not going to play pump spells that can make me 2 for 1. So I always like do these like decisions that postpone the game. Where some people cheese, they just like play pump spells. They try to like aggro them out like super fast. And it's like, I don't know, I just can't get away from this. That's why I never won with Splinter Twin, for example. Like, I never go for it. And people just like, yeah, I'm just going to play it, and if you have it, you have it. And that's like ideology, what you say, like fundamentally, like it's a different approach I have to Magic. So I would often just defer into like going more mid-rangey. If I really had 19 aggro cards, I would go the thing that gave more reach or grind it more. Like if I was in that spot. I think that's my approach, but some people would do what is synergistic or whatnot.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I just like, as you said, you're kind of used to from draft to just like aggro them, so the pump spell seems better, but the shield is just kind of different. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. We already mentioned it at the beginning. You're kind of a grinder. You play all the formats and stuff, and that's like something that's interesting about you. Because, for example, I don't really play that much Pauper, or maybe I don't even like Draft Cube that much. I usually just like play whatever is the next tournament in, so I don't have experience with anything. What is like your favorite constructed format? Or like, for example, nowadays we don't really get to play Pioneer, but maybe it's interesting, and you're playing everything, so you probably know a bunch of stuff that we don't. If you can just talk about other formats, that would be great.
Yeah, I think Modern is like the worst format. Like but I just dislike it. Like I think it's too broken. Like it's not my style of Magic. It's like
I actually thought that you like Modern a lot.
No. I hate it. I that's the only thing I dislike about Magic. It's Modern. Maybe Tiny Leaders because I haven't played it, but
Is that like the commander with like 30 cards or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know. Like
no one knows. It doesn't matter.
No, I dislike Modern. Like
What is so bad about it? I actually the other day I saw like some deck that looked completely busted. It was like Topter Foundry with a bunch of like, it's like 12 mana 0 artifacts and like Mentor or whatever. It just looked pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah, but what you're saying is it looked pretty busted, and I think like when everyone tries to like tune their deck into like a super busted version that wins on turn 3 or turn 2, like at best, the games just become like super boring, because then, I missed a land drop because I had to mulligan to 5. Then you died to my oops all spells. I had to have like this specific sideboard card against Tron or against like oops all spells, or just die.
Yeah.
Like you have 2 turns to do some interactions that are cool, or you just die. So you're relying more on actually having the card instead of actually having like to play around and do strategic things. And I kind of dislike that part of Magic.
So do you think it's more about like deck building and like trying to predict the metagame correctly so that you're packing the right sideboard card and not the gameplay as much? Or... Yeah,
but it's also just a gamble. Like you can predict it a metagame, but like in the Hogak winter, like as people call it at the Pro Tour, I played Junt. I didn't play Hogak.
I actually beat you in that tournament, if you remember, in Modern. I played Blue White.
You probably did, because I'm also not that good at Modern, I think. But yeah, like I think 30 or 40% played Hogak, but in 10 games I only played it once.
Oh shit.
So you can predict all you want, but like in the actual setting of the tournament, like there's so much. Mean. Yeah.
So which format do you like? We already established that Modern sucks. I kind of agree with you.
So now we have the bottom of the continuum. I think I kind of like Standard actually right now, but that's not a thing that I like in general. It's just because I've played it so much the last 8 months. I think I like Legacy and Vintage the most.
What is going on? I wanted to ask about that, but you said it yourself. What is going on with Legacy right now? Because from back in my day, we played Delver with Days against like White Taxis and like Storm and stuff like that. But now it's like all Oko and I don't know, stuff like that. Is the format good?
Yeah, I think the format is like, I'm not the most expert. I always like divert into like the decks that I like to play again. I like playing Elves and I like playing Snowco. And in the showcase qualifier weekend, like the big Mox thing this weekend, I played a guy or a person called Canican plays like a blue-white Karn deck, like not with echoes, but something else. I played that for in 9th place. But I think like yes, good for me. I opened my chest and I got a foil set, so they gave me a set anyways.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty busted Legacy, but there's like some super grindy decks with. This again comes down to like I just love playing Magic. So for me, it doesn't matter if there's an Oko on the board, as long as the game is not fun. It doesn't matter if it's the same card.
Mm-hmm.
So if I play Elves and they play Oko, sure, like it's not that good against Elves. If I play D&T against Oko, the card is just way better. But the games are still fun. It's not like it's taking over the game or Uro for that sake. It's still like a grindy game where you need a lot of interactions and you lose when you make a mistake. And that is what I love about Magic. Like you actually get to play Magic, and then it doesn't matter if it's like busted cards. It's more annoying when people kill you on turn 1 with Tin Fins or like Ad Nauseam or something like that. Like that's not fun. Like then it's a mulligan decision, and you didn't have the card, so you're like hoping for them not to.
Yeah.
So,
do you play Vintage as well?
Yes. Quite a lot, but not lately. But I didn't have enough time for it.
What do you mean by didn't have enough time? Aren't you playing like every weekend, like everything?
Yes, but I also I heard some of your interview with Luis.
Salvato?
Yeah, no, Louis Del Toro.
Oh yeah, okay.
Not Louis Del Toro.
Yeah, okay.
And he focused 100% on Magic since 2014 or when it was. But I actually took like a teacher degree, like 4 year teacher degree.
I wanted to ask about that next, but you said it yourself, so yeah. Go on.
So I've been grinding alongside me, studying to become a teacher.
But you are already a teacher, right?
Yeah, yes, and then I'm doing my master's in social in pedagogy, but the closest thing is like social studies, I think.
What was the thing that you said in Dutch?
It's like pedagogy. It's like it's like the German word of it's actually the English word for like that part of the social studies. It's like Kant and like all the moral philosophers. So Rousseau, they talk about pedagogy. It's like the approach when you approach people and want to do something with people. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, teach. So I'm doing like a master's degree, and I have my thesis hand in on the 4th of January.
So you cannot. What you're saying is that you cannot grind like 100% of the time. You're only grinding 80% of the time.
Yes, or even 90%. So,
okay.
Yeah, and then I have a child that's 2 years old. So that.
Oh really? How is it going? Is everything good?
Yes, it's perfect. She's actually almost talking fluently. Like,
oh really?
Yeah.
That's pretty fast for a 2-year-old.
Yes, she's 2 years in 4 days.
Are you planning to teach her how to play Magic?
Yes, of course. But first chess, I think. I'll give it a half a year and then I'm gonna teach her chess.
Must like to be your daughter.
Yeah,
the daughters just want to play with like dolls and stuff, and you just like force them to play cards.
Yeah, you're gonna play with cards and you're gonna play with rooks. That's how it is. No, so it is. I have to like mix it. Like I have to be a parent and I have to like play online and I have to grind and also like do my studies to like. So it's a.
Do you actually want to become a teacher, or was it more that you just like kind of like to do it and maybe you like do it a little bit, but you know?
No, I think it's very good. Like it's something I enjoy very much. Like
just like to teach people what to do.
Yes, no, I love to talk. Like
yeah, I figured.
I love to talk and I love to like know things and I love to help people. So it's a pretty good like. Yeah, it's a pretty good mix of my personality that fits for the job, I think.
Well, but the problem with teachers is that obviously if you're teaching adults, they understand that you're helping them and they're nice to you. But what if you're gonna teach like kids and they're gonna hate you?
I actually think it's quite the opposite. Like adults, really? Adults have like they have an approach to the world that's hard to like to fiddle with. So if I tell you something, you would say, yeah. You're saying this, but I live my life, and I know that you're wrong. So there's like a lot of the what's it called? the theories that say that you can never teach someone something. The person has to like want to be taught. So you have to like make it fit in your own brain, and it's your reality that has to change before you.
Well, there is a difference between an opinion that you can like. I agree with you that if you're an adult, it's like really hard to change your opinion. But if you're just like teaching them like information, like data, then that's not the same, right? It's not like you're changing their perspective on the world if you tell them that this bridge was built in 1536 or whatever.
No. That is true, but then it's more like, yeah, if it's like you're using a historical fact, like I think children are also pretty. If you tell them about the pyramids, they're gonna sit down, they're gonna shut up, and they're gonna like have their eyes peeled up and like, wow, pyramids in Egyptians, yeah. So it's more like the grammar.
I think you're away from high school for too long of a time to think that.
Yeah,
but
maybe, yeah. I there is of course like some people like have a hard time sitting still and they just want to play Magic, or instead of actually doing grammar for their.
Yeah, I was a guy like that for sure.
Yeah, but luckily I have some of the more like fun disciplines. I have history, English, and sports.
Isn't the English level in Denmark, or like in all the Dutch countries, like super high anyway? Because like in Czech, like maybe like 15% of the people like speak kind of fluently. But in Denmark, even if you go to like a supermarket, like some like older lady will just like speak pretty good English. Is that because you have like subtitles when you watch movies, or why is that?
I think there's like a lot of theories why it is like, but I think it's just always been part of the school system, and then there's a lot of English TV, so that might be like one of the factors. Like, I don't know, like we just use a lot of English words as well. Like I almost know no one who
yeah, I kind of heard that Dutch is like basically like something in the middle of like German and English, so that probably helps.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. I think so. Like if you look at Sweden and Norway, they also have I think even Sweden and Norway, they speak better English than the average Danish person.
Oh, really?
They're also, yeah, and it's a very close the language. Mm-hmm. So I think it's probably something with that, but what do I know?
Yeah.
I'm just a mere grinder.
Just a mere grinder from Denmark. Yeah. All right, Michael, I think we've talked for enough. Is there still something that you would like to say? Now is the time.
You haven't talked about this, Peter.
Oh, but I forgot something important?
Yes. No, I don't know. It's important to me, maybe. I am actually one of the few people who played more than 100 GPs.
Oh, really? I didn't know that, sorry. If I knew that, I would obviously say that.
Yeah, I think I played 101, not counting team GPs.
How many people did do that, do you know?
I don't know, I think it's 40 or something like that, 50 maybe. I know that I'm on the, no, maybe it's less, maybe 20? There must be more than 20. There was a list where Pascal Menard just hit it with 100. And then I know Calcano is because he celebrated in Manila, I think.
Well, I would assume that Calcano was in. He's just like literally at all the GPs.
Yeah, I think he played 125 or something like that.
That's a lot of fucking GPs, man.
Yes. Are you, by the way, qualified for the next Pro Tour?
No, I wasn't. I didn't even play the last one. I'm not even like, I don't know, trying to qualify that much.
You should do that.
Yeah.
Then I will do it as well. I'm also not qualified. Hopefully Whistles will see this.
I am playing the arena qualifiers, but I'm not playing like any of the PTQs or whatever. I don't know. It's just too much of a struggle, and like the chance that you qualify isn't that high, and even if you do, it kind of sucks anyway. So I'm just like kind of off it, but maybe that will change. I think that once the GPs and stuff like that come back, I'm gonna maybe like grind a lot again, but now I just don't really feel like the fire. Like, it's really hard, and I think you like really need to want it to have like a real chance. And if it's not there, you're gonna like play somewhat, but you're not really gonna put all of it in, and you're just gonna make a mistake, and you're just not gonna win. I don't know.
Yeah, but maybe you should just try and take random decks and just play them in random formats and see if that's fun.
Maybe I should do that. I'm playing a lot of the Arena Cube right now. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So maybe you can
I am playing a lot of Magic. I'm just also like maybe I should not say that on camera, but I have like a girlfriend for 4 months now, and she lives in a different city. So when she comes to visit me on weekend, like I want to be with her. You know, she comes for like 2 days. I don't want to tell her like I'm gonna play this PTQ or whatever. So you know that's a big factor. But
I have the reverse. I have an agreement that during the week I don't really play, and then during the weekends that's where the tournaments are, and then I can grind.
maybe I should switch it to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Have her visit you 5 days a week. That seems like a nice thing.
All right, man. I had fun. Thanks for calling with me.
Likewise.
And good luck with the grind.
Thank you.
Oh, I forgot to say, if you guys like the video, don't forget to click on the like and subscribe button. And bye bye.